Hi there, I'm Eve Goldberg for JamPlay.com, and we've been working on learning how chords fit together in a key and why certain chords show up together a lot. But we're going to go back to playing guitar now because there's a few more chords to learn, and of course there's always more songs to play. In this lesson we're going to learn a new chord, B7. So we're going to work on a new song called Frankie and Johnny. It's a traditional song that's supposedly based on a true story. It's been recorded over the years by many different people and performed by many people. This version comes mostly from a Pete Seeger recording with a few additional words from other places. So here's what it sounds like. This is Frankie and Johnny. Frankie and Johnny were lovers. Oh my good Lord, they did love. Swore to be true to each other, just as true as the stars above. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. Frankie, she was a good woman, as everybody knows. Spent $100 just to buy her man some clothes. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. Now Frankie went down to the corner just for a bucket of beer. She said, "Oh, Mr. Bartender, has my loving Johnny been here? He was my man, but he was doing me wrong. I don't want to tell you no stories, I don't want to tell you no lie. I saw your man about an hour ago with a gal named Nellie Bly. He was your man, but he was doing you wrong." Frankie went down to the hotel. She didn't go there for fun. Underneath her kimono, she carried a .44 gun. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. Frankie looked over the transom to see what she could spy. There sat Johnny on the sofa, just loving up Nellie Bly. He was her man, but she was doing her wrong. Frankie got down from the high stool. She didn't want to see no more. Rudy toot-toot 3 times she shot right through that hardwood door. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. 16 rubber-tired carriages, 16 rubber-tired hacks. They've taken poor Johnny to the graveyard, and they ain't gonna bring him back. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. Frankie, she said to the sheriff, "What do you reckon they'll do?" The sheriff, he said to Frankie, "It's the electric chair for you." He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. This story has no moral. This story has no end. This story only goes to show that there ain't no good in man. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. Yes, he was her man, but he was doing her wrong. So there you you go. There's Frankie and Johnny. That was a version with the extra bits that we're going to get to eventually, but we're going to start as usual with a more simple pared down version. And we're going to go over the chords with a boom chuck strum, and we'll get to the finger picking later. There's a lot of, it might sound pretty complex what I was doing, but you actually pretty much have most of the tools by now to do most of what we're doing, and I'm just going to show you some extra little bits about that. So the first thing is that we have a new chord, B7. And here's what our B7 chord looks like. So I've got my second finger on the second fret of the 5th string, my middle finger. My index finger's on the 1st fret of the 4th string. My ring finger's on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. And my pinky's on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. So you're using all 4 fingers, and some people find that hard. I'm not sure if we've had any other chords yet that use all 4 fingers, but just keep working away at it, and I'm sure it'll become easier and start to feel more natural as you play it. As you can hear, really nice sounding chord. And on this chord, you don't want to play the 6th string because that note doesn't fit in with the chord. Later, we're going to talk about a way of using the 6th string with our B7 chord, but the open 6th string doesn't fit with the chord. So we just strum from the 5th string down, and sometimes I even sort of touch the 6th string with my middle finger there. I'm playing the 5th string, but sometimes I kind of touch the 6th string there just to keep it from ringing. So if you can do that, that might help, or just avoid playing that 6th string. So in this song, the B7 is, we're always changing from the E chord to the B7. So you might just want to check out the chord change there from E to B7. So here's the E chord. And when I change to B7, it's going to look something like that. So you don't need to strum the chord or anything. We're just looking at what our left hand has to do to get to the B7. And you'll notice that your middle finger actually stays in exactly the same place. It stays on that 2nd fret of the 5th string. So that's a nice thing to keep in mind. That's going to keep your chord change a little more efficient if you can just keep that middle finger down on the 5th string and move your other fingers. So that's the middle finger just stays there. The ring finger, let's see, what does the ring finger do? It moves down 1 string, stays on the 2nd fret, but it moves down 1 string. And the index finger moves up 1 string. It stays on the 1st fret, but moves up 1 string. And then you need to plop your pinky down there. So you just want to get comfortable with that chord change back and forth. It will become easier, of course, the more you do it. But you might want to just spend some time playing around with that. We're going to start playing the song with our boom chuck strum. So we're going to be using the bass notes for the all 3 chords. We've got E, A, and B7. Those are our 3 chords. And so we've done a lot with the E and the A chord before. But just a reminder, the bass notes for the E chord are the 6th string and the 4th string. And we're doing our boom chuck strum, so we'd be doing something like that on our E chord. Our A chord, the bass notes are 5 and 4, so that's going to sound like this. And you can be, just a reminder, there's all those different ways of playing your A chord. So I'm doing this sort of partial bar. I'm using my 2nd finger on the 4th and 3rd strings, and my ring finger's tucked in underneath on the 2nd string. That's one way of playing your A chord. We've also talked about this way of playing your A chord, where you sort of sandwich your index finger in between the middle finger and the ring finger, or this way of playing your A chord. You could also play it this way. Some people bar all 3 strings with their index finger. However you are comfortable playing your A chord, I leave that up to you, as long as you're getting the chord and feeling comfortable with the way you're playing it. So your A chord, bass notes 5 and 4. And your B7, our new chord, we're also going to play 5 and 4. So those are the, that would be the simple boom chuck bits for those chords. So you might want to go and practice just a little bit changing through the chords with the boom chuck strum and get comfortable with that. All right, so we've got our boom chucks for all three chords. So let's go through a little bit of the structure of the song. So we're starting on our E chord, and the whole first line of the song is going to be on the E chord. So we play something like this. Frankie and Johnny were lovers. Oh my good Lord, they did love. So that's the whole first line, all on E. I think that was 8 boom chucks, or you can think about it as 2 sets of 4 if you like to count that way. The second line starts on the A chord and changes back to the E at the end. So, swore to be true to each other, just as true as the stars above. So that's, I think that was 6 boom chucks on the A and 2 on the E, but let's do that again and sort of count through. Swore to be true to each other, that's 4, just as true as the stars above. And what happens here is we play a second boom chuck on the E at the end, but we're already starting the next line. He was her man. And on the word man, we change to the B7. Man. But he was doing her wrong. So that's 4 times on the B7 and 4 times on the E chord. So the little tricky bit is that the third line there, the he was her man, comes really quickly. So you have to be ready for that to happen. And it's almost tacked on to the end of the second line. But let's just go through that really slowly, one whole verse, just with our boom chuck. So it'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Frankie and Johnny were lovers. Oh my good Lord, they did love. Swore to be true to each other, just as true as the stars above. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. And then right here you would start your next verse. Frankie, she was a good woman, as everybody knows. Spent $100 just to buy her man some clothes. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. I'm going to keep going one more verse just for kicks. Frankie went down to the corner just for a bucket of beer. She said, oh, Mr. Bartender, has my loving Johnny been here? He was my man, but he was doing me wrong. So there's a couple of verses with just the boom chuck strum going pretty slowly and getting the idea of the structure of the song. So hopefully that's helping you get the structure down. So now that we have it slowly, let's do it a little bit more up to speed. This song doesn't have to be too fast, actually. It's a great story song, and I feel like you really want the story to come across, and it's a lot of words, so I usually don't do it too much faster than we were just going. If you speed it up too much, you lose a little bit of the words, and there's a lot of drama in there. You want the drama to come out. So let's do a couple of verses, a bit more up to speed, just with a boom chuck, and then we'll start adding some more fancy stuff. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Frankie and Johnny were lovers. Oh my good Lord, they did love. Swore to be true to each other, just as true as the stars above. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. Frankie, she was a good woman, as everybody knows. Spent $100 just to buy her man some clothes. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. Now Frankie went down to the corner just for a bucket of beer. She said, "Oh, Mr. Bartender, has my loving Johnny been here? He was my man, but he was doing me wrong. I don't want to tell you no stories. I don't want to tell you no lie. I saw your man about an hour ago with a gal named Nellie Bly. He was your man, but he was doing you wrong." So there's a few verses, a little bit more up to speed. So we've been playing this with just boom chuck, but of course you can also be doing boom chukka or boom a chukka. You might want to spend some time going through the whole song with boom chukka or with boom a chukka, whichever level of challenge you want to set yourself is just fine. So just a reminder about boom chukka. I'm playing with my fingers right now, so I would play bass, down, up, and I'm just using my index finger for that up. You know, the back of my fingers are doing my down, and just catching a string or two with my index finger on the way back up. So I get boom, chukka, boom, chukka, boom, chukka, boom, chukka, and the rhythm of that is 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Of course, you can be doing all of this with a flat pick. And with the flat pick, it's the same rhythm, same bass, down, up. But of course, you're catching the strings with your flat pick, so it would be. So we can play through a few verses of the song with the boom chukka boom. So it would sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Frankie and Johnny were lovers. Oh my good Lord, they did love. Swore to be true to each other, just as true as the stars above. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. Now Frankie went down to the corner just for a bucket of beer. She said, "Oh, Mr. Bartender, has my loving Johnny been here? He was my man, but he there's a little bit of Frankie and Johnny with the boom chukka strum. And of course, as always, you want to work at getting accurate with your bass notes. And you'll notice that that rhythm was not completely what I would call straight. It wasn't boom, chukka, boom, chukka, boom, chukka, boom, chukka. It was sort of boom, chukka, boom, chukka, boom, chukka, boom. We call that swinging the rhythm, and it fits with some songs. And this song, because of the rhythm of the song, you probably want to swing that rhythm to make it fit sort of the cadence of the song. And that's going to come up again later when we get into the finger picking part of things. So that's boom chukka. We can also do boom a chukka. So boom a chukka. So in boom a chukka, I'm doing bass up, down, up, bass up, down, up, bass up, down, up, bass up, down, up. And of course, most people find this harder because you're doing the up strum right after the bass note. The rhythm is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if that's, the thing that you feel, is the challenge that you want to tackle, you can be playing some of the song with that. So let's play a few verses with that. I'll start with, I don't want to tell you no stories. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want to tell you no stories. I don't want to tell you no lies. I saw your man about an hour ago with a gal named Nellie Bly. He was your man, but he was doing you wrong. Frank, she went down to the hotel. There for fun. Underneath her kimono, she carried a 44 gun. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. Over the transom to see what she could spy. There sat Johnny on the sofa, just a loving up Nellie Bly. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. So there's a little bit of Frankie and Johnny with the boom a chukka strum, and again we had that swung rhythm like bass up down up bass up down up. It's kind of a feel thing. The down is a bit more prominent than the ups, and the ups are a little shorter. Is really what's happening. But usually for me, rather than thinking about it in terms of exactly what the timing is, it's just a feel thing, and it depends on how you swing the rhythm when you're singing too. So you can kind of adjust that in a way however you feel like you want to sing the song. So we've got the basic structure of the song. We've worked on our boom chuck or boom a chukka or boom chukka with the song, and in the next lesson, we're going to look at adding bass runs to the song. So I'll see you in the next lesson. I'm Eve Goldberg for JamPlay.com.